now the gaming innovation of 1983.
Yes. Hello there. This is Rue, and welcome to the video game innovation of 1983. What new technology graced the world and changed the face of video gaming forever? Journey, yes, about the band, was the first game to use digitized sprites and actually used a technology invented by Ralph Baer in 1980. Baer, the father of home video games, had developed a technology and was using it to put together a game where players could actually take pictures of their own faces to use in the game. He scrapped the idea when people took pictures of naughty bits and things like that. Instead, when the opportunity to make a Journey game came around, the technology was used to digitize the band members' faces and use it in a game of sorts. Jury's still out on that one. That was the video game innovation for 1983. I'll see you next year, and don't forget, it's not just nostalgia, it's science. Oh, beautiful.
Star Wars the arcade game?
Man, I love this arcade, even all throughout the late 80s and
you're not the only one,
early
pal.
90s.
Star Wars Arcade has got to be my favorite arcade game of all time. It's listed number 4 in Killer List of Video Games, and for good reason.
It uses cool vector graphics, and you're going in here like doo-doo-doo.
I mean, you see it in an arcade, you just want to sit in it.
The sit-down version is one of my very first memories of being in an arcade, playing it with my dad. The sound samples, the colorful vector graphics, the fact that I loved the movie.
Most arcade games that were based off of movie licenses never really did a good job at capturing the essence of a movie and putting it into video game form. But Star Wars Arcade did that exactly.
So the game simulates the very popular attack on the Death Star from A New Hope. You're flying through as Red 5, Luke Skywalker, and the whole mission is to blow up the Death Star. It's actually become a very popular sequence in Star Wars video games ever since this game.
You actually get to play a game where it seems like you're actually traveling through the trench. That had to be really cool in 1983, and it's actually still cool today if you play it.
So I liked all the voice acting in there. You know, that really just added that extra element to the game.
Yeah.
You know, like doing the trench run and stuff like that.
You have R2-D2 beeping, R2, see what you can do!
Yahoo! You're all clear, kid!
There's like easy, medium, and then hard. I'm pretty awesome on easy. I'm just gonna say that's like I'm the Jedi.
It's got the yoke controller, which is cool. So other games later on by Atari had this as well, including Stunrunner. But this one, it just felt really right. It made it feel like you're flying an X-Wing.
When it comes to medium, yeah, you know, I'm eh.
You should be awesome on easy. It's easy.
It's simple. You approach the Death Star.
TIE fighters are coming and they shoot the little sparklies at you. You gotta shoot the sparklies and
You approach the Death Star a little bit closer and you take out some turrets.
Then you had like all the turrets just like spontaneously rising like their freaking erections.
And then you do the trench run.
Whoa.
And then you just repeat it. But that's all anyone ever wanted to do.
It's also worth noting that this game was meant to come out to help promote the newest Star Wars film of the year, Return of the Jedi. But the whole focus of this game is based solely on that one attack from the first Star Wars movie that came out several years prior to that.
It's a good thing they waited 6 years to make a Star Wars game, because if they made it earlier, it would have been just like Galaga. Right.
In the trench part, if you don't fire a single shot except for at the exhaust cannon, you'll get a bonus for using the Force.
Use the Force, Luke, but only on the exhaust port.
I want to talk about the amazing commercial for the home version. This guy walks into this store and he's like, Star Wars Arcade, I love that. Then he explodes.
I mean, when you look at the sea of Star Wars related video games, this thing still ranks real high up there, if not at the top.
The Force will be with you. Always.
Save the baby in Kangaroo from Atari. The monkeys have Baby Roo up a tree. Only Mama can help with up to 4 screens, just like in the arcade.
We got kangaroos, because animals make great mascots for video games.
It was ported to a bunch of things. I never played it.
Made by Sun, the people who brought you Kangaroo.
In Kangaroo, and this year it was released on the Atari 2600, you take the mama kangaroo through different levels, up ladders and platforms, and you have to rescue her little Joey.
Kangaroo is a lot like Donkey Kong. It plays like it, and it even has primates in it. But one thing this game has in it that Donkey Kong was severely lacking is a kangaroo with boxing gloves.
Usually in arcade games from this time, your attack is useful for a very small, limited period of time. And this, it's got all sorts of uses, and it makes Kangaroo a little bit more friendly, a little bit easier to figure out.
Was a kangaroo with boxing gloves. That's what it's got.
Good day, mate. Oh my god. Next. Throw another shrimp on the barbie.
I'm leaving.
So before Super Mario Brothers on the Nintendo, there was the original Mario Brothers in the arcade.
So Mario Brothers came out in 1983 in the arcades. This was before Super Mario Brothers. It wasn't...
Mario finally got his own game. Well, I mean, that he was a star of.
Thanks for the contribution to that.
Donkey Kong, he wasn't technically named Mario. No. They waited for Mario Brothers to name him Mario, and this is the first time he's a plumber. He's in a plumber, and he's knocking from up. He's uppercutting, you know, crabs and turtles for the first time.
So instead of jumping on the enemies, you had to
from underneath. Just like that.
Just like that.
I actually enjoy the Mario Brothers controls. You skitter along, and then if you stop, you kind of just, whoa, you put on the brakes, you don't stop immediately, and the same when you turn around. So it's a little bit challenging, how you knock them from up, and you have to jump precisely to hit the turtles or crabs.
I particularly liked the POW thing.
That would just
make things explode.
Flip all the enemies and just kick them.
Yeah.
And you really would just kind of like kick them off the side, you know, poor turtles and stuff like that.
And plus, it's the first introduction of Mario's brother Luigi to the gaming world. And I think at the time they didn't realize it would catch on the way it did, or Luigi would be its own character. It was just Mario but green to distinguish the multiplayer action.
Right,
That's it.
I figured let's give him a name.
The North American arcade flyer for Mario Brothers says it's easier to play with 2 people, but that's not necessarily true. Think about it, when you play Mario Brothers, are you really trying to help each other out, or are you trying to get each other killed and steal each other's coins? Be honest.
It's also nice too because it's one of those rare games that it's ambiguous. Is this cooperative or is this competitive? You want to see how far you can get with your friend, but you're definitely trying to get more points from them as well.
So Mario Brothers, yeah.
Track and Field was an Olympic game made by Konami and was a purely button arcade game.
Yeah.
No joysticks, just buttons.
Button mashing. How fast can you hit the button?
Yep.
Who needs a joystick? You just slam the buttons to go faster.
The problem for me is I always got so into it that I'd start hitting the buttons really fast, and then I'd look down and not at the screen because I just want to win, but I'm not fast enough. Yeah.
You know, you're jumping over hurdles and you're running the dash and you're getting blisters on your finger or whatever you're hitting buttons with, going blah, 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 blah. And that's really all there is to the game. I mean, it's kind of annoying. I hate button mashers. I'm not too fond of this game.
There's a trick with Track and Field where if you take a quarter, one of your quarters, and a pencil, you can get like a super high speed going on it.
And you put it on the 2 buttons, and it go like this, and it acts as like a turbo type thing. And you know, you can run the 100-yard dash in like 2 seconds or something.
Awesome.
It's crazy.
You like cheating?
I do like cheating. It works really well for me.
Eventually they put like a little case around the button so you couldn't slam it anymore, so it forced you just to use your finger.
I've seen the machines that have had those around there, and if you do try to, it hurts because it's a hard plastic lipped edge that goes around the button, so if you smash it, I imagine someone has probably bled from thinking they could smash that button.
It was almost athletic because you had to give yourself almost, wrist contusion injuries and stuff, trying to just get the damn button going as fast as you could.
And in Japan, they actually had the official Olympic seal of authenticity, or whatever you call it, where you pay the Olympics a whole crap load of money and you get to put their, official merchandise kind of thing on there. So that was kind of neat. This is where official sports titles started to become a real thing in the video game realm.
Every game system you can think of had Track and Field.
It's on the NES, it's on the Xbox 360, it's everywhere.
Yeah. Ultima 3 was the sequel to Ultima 2.
Yeah.
Ultima 3 was designed by Richard Garriott, who's known for the other Ultimas.
Lord British.
Lord British. There he is again.
Richard Gary is back from some more Ultima adventures.
You had games before this. Before you had Ultima, you had Wizardry, you had Calibeth, and things like that. Ultima 3 is like the first modern role-playing game, or at least the first, ironically, I'd say, Japanese-style role-playing game.
But Ultima 3 especially is sort of what Japanese creators borrowed from to make their games, which in turn spawned an entire generation of RPGs. So we have Dragon Quest, we have Final Fantasy, and both of these games would not exist without Ultima 3.
Whereas before you had wireframe, first-person dungeons that you crawled through, and they were kind of random and whatever, you got some treasure and such. Now they were like full 3D, best they could do at the time, 3D dungeons, and they were like important to the plot.
I hate Ultima.
Oh, I hated it too.
Ultima 3 had borrowed from Wizardry, the multi-character party system.
In it, you do some adventuring.
It had animated sprites on the overworld, and you could move them around, go into towns and such.
But I like how it inspired, Dragon Quest. I like how it inspired Final Fantasy. I like how it became the template for which to create the modern RPG.
I cannot state how important this game was for the role-playing game genre.
Items will be found, dungeons will be explored, and monsters will be slain.
It'll be an RPG adventure.
David Lightman was a master at computer games.
Shall we play a game?
How can I ask you that?
How about mobile, thermonuclear war?
War games.
Yeah, the movie War Games was awesome.
Who doesn't love this film?
The whole goal he has is to try to find games to play. He's a gamer, like all of us, and he's trying to get into these different game companies' computer systems to find out about these different games. And he basically hacks into the government.
Somehow hack into NORAD's computer systems to play what he thinks are video games, but no, thermonuclear war is not a game. It's real!
War Games came out in '83. It was one of the first real hacker movies.
They don't have a history of exactly being shown as accurate, but they did actually show some things as accurate in this movie, such as the modem usage and things like that.
Yeah.
There is so much jargon in it, there's so much lingo, there's so many computers and blinking lights, and you don't really know what everything is supposed to do.
It sort of hit upon the fact that people still don't know what computers were. For example, the general who's bumbling around in NORAD, like, just doesn't know what the hell these computers are. Just unplug the goddamn thing! Thinks that that'll solve the problems.
If I'm not mistaken, basically the computer thinks it's playing a game when in real life it's connected to real nuclear warheads and stuff like that, and Matthew Broderick has to, like, beat it.
How do they do that? How do you have the AI learn not to destroy everyone and win the game?
They have them play tic-tac-toe against themselves.
Yeah, the machine does the tic-tac-toe, and they do it over and over and over again, and it just keeps becoming a stalemate.
And he learns that all outcomes are going to lead to loss.
The only winning move is not to play.
The little computer goes through like about 1 billion scenarios.
And then it does the same thing with the world, and they're all firing the missiles, and the whole world is just getting nuked, basically, and it happens over and over and over again in a simulation. And then eventually the computer says the only way to win is to not play at all.
Think about that out there.
Deep.
That means don't ever play a video game.
Still deep.
And now the forgotten video games of 1983.
Pat here with the forgotten video games of 1983. Food Fight by Atari. Fight off chefs by lobbing food at them, but gobble up that ice cream cone before it melts. NFL Football by Bally Midway. Watch real NFL video of your selected plays. It's as interactive as watching TV. Professor Pac-Man by Bally Midway. A trivia and puzzle game that has even less to do with Pac-Man than the other 14 games in the franchise. Cubert's Cubes from Milestar, the interesting sequel to Cubert that unfortunately never really got off the ground. Crossbow, XCD's optical shooter that featured the first ever fully digitized voice samples. And Chack and Pop, title's cute platformer which would be the predecessor to Bubble Bobble. And those were the forgotten video games of 1983. Just because you don't remember them doesn't mean they weren't fun.